Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be in conversation and in relationship with other people as a more whole version of yourself? Well, you're not alone. And if this idea piques your interest and curiosity, I invite you to join my friend Manak Singh and myself, Dr. Node Smith, as we explore some of life's most challenging and interesting questions and social dilemmas in a conversation that is more about how we are relating to each other and to ourselves, and less about the information that we're presenting. So, welcome to the relational field. Does it ever land on you how every single one of us has ideas and thoughts and opinions about the world that are just ours? Like nobody else might have them. That we orient to a very specific reality, and nobody else sees that reality. And we all have that. We all do it. That you can never really understand or see the world through another person's eyes.
Like the amount of assumptions we can make are almost infinite.
I think they are infinite.
Yeah. It feels so when I think of that, we're a person like me and you just moving around the world having all these assumptions that maybe even we're not aware of. It feels so disconnecting. It feels so it feels like the word assumption itself evokes a feeling of disconnection.
Yeah.
Because if I was 100% connected to you, I feel like I don't need to make any assumptions about you.
That's interesting that you say that. When you say that, I kind of have a resistance to it. And my resistance is I don't think it's possible for us not to have assumptions about each other. And so the question for me is not having assumptions. It's, am I aware of the assumptions that I'm having?
Mm-hmm. And what does that do for you?
I feel more honest.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I also feel that if you were honest about your assumptions and you shared them with me, that would have a very connecting effect.
Yeah, like I assume that you like spent all day like very like happy and joyous and like got a lot of things done and like worked until 6:30, and you were like very regimented with your time in a very disciplined fashion. That's like the story and assumption that I have about you and your day. And I also, so I'm curious, how absolutely off am I?
You're like 80% off.
80% off. Yeah.
But I want to give you some credit.
Okay.
That's how I usually spend my day.
Okay.
But today was not one of those days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
And the assumption I had about you, like before I stepped into your house, the assumption I had would have been that you had a lazy day.
Yeah.
And now that I step into your house, I know that that is not true.
That is not the case.
And I can see that assumption that I made about you is a complete projection.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because after last night, I had a very lazy day.
Okay.
And I feel like you know, I just project it on you, and I'm like, you must have had a lazy day as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel very comfortable hearing you say that. Like I don't feel a projection. I feel like an honesty, like a connection in that honesty that, oh yeah, like had a we had an assumption.
You feel connected in the revealing of my assumption.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah. And also in the naming of my assumption.
Mm. It feels, at a first glance, it feels strange that would be connecting.
Mm. Yeah. And how often do I assume that you're making a judgment on me? Like, how often do I assume that somebody else is thinking about me in a certain way? And so to hear someone actually tell you exactly what they're assuming about you it's almost relieving. Mm-hmm. At least for me, that's kind of where I take it.
I agree. The way my brain works is I feel I'm being constantly judged. Mm-hmm. That might be true or not, but I feel like I'm being constantly judged. And what I think they're thinking is usually very negative.
Okay.
In my case.
Yeah.
You know, they probably think I'm lazy. They think I'm a loser, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And whenever someone has revealed their assumption, it's rarely negative.
Yeah.
It's rarely that negative.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's almost always relieving. I would say. And when that reveal is really honest and really fresh, then it's so connecting. It's like they just, by revealing their assumption, they've invited me into their world. I feel invited in.
Yeah.
I don't feel pushed away.
Yeah. What's coming up for me is how often when I talk about assumptions, I hear people kind of almost like pretend that they don't make them, like pretend that they don't make judgments about other people. And I think that that's really interesting. It's like the worst thing that we could do. You know, like there's this kind of cultural like rule right now that the worst thing that you could do is judge somebody. You know, make an assumption about them.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because I sense it, like when I'm out, I sense it in terms of like, oh, I'm not allowed to, I have this feeling sometimes that I'm not allowed to interact with people I don't know, because I'm even making the assumption that they want to interact with me.
Oh.
And that like hurts my heart when I like kind of see that I have that, like that I kind of see our culture as supporting this in me.
I need to get this right. So what hurts you is the assumption you have that this other person at the grocery store wants to interact with you.
No, they don't.
They don't want to interact.
Or I don't know. And because I don't know, right? Because I'm not allowed to make an assumption. I'm not allowed to like kind of like there's no consent there, obviously. And so I'm not allowed to interact with this person.
I see.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time. Like I overcome this and can be jovial and interacting just with strangers.
Yeah. This is interesting because I've seen you very interactive with strangers. Yeah. Like more so than I would encounter like on a person on average.
Yeah.
And I definitely am one of those people who when I go out, like when I go to the grocery store or whatever, I'm not looking to interact with somebody. Like it feels like a certain like I feel a certain heaviness when someone interacts with me, like when someone initiates an interaction with me.
Oh, really?
But if someone has the right energy, like I'm all for it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but usually I can see myself being that person who's sort of like at first resistance to an anonymous interaction.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting it.
Yeah. Interesting. That saddens, it saddens me that to think about the lack of interaction that we have on a daily basis.
Me too. Like I perpetuate it, but it also saddens me.
Yeah.
How would you like it to be? Like what would like a good interaction be like on the streets?
When I lived in Lipton, it was like a town of like 350 people or something. And when you walk down the street, if you saw somebody, you always nodded and waved. And the likelihood that you would actually stop and like have a conversation with them was very high.
Oh.
And I love that. Like I think that there's a it's not like a charm. Like I wouldn't describe it as like this quaint, charming, like small town thing. There is that element to it, but it's also like safe, and it's safe. When people acknowledge you and talk to you, and I have the sense that other people are aware of like my presence, and I'm aware of their presence, and we're aware of each other being human together, even in some small way.
What's this safety like? Like, is this safety like I know a little bit of who he is, so I don't have to worry about him, or it's some kind of other kind of safety?
No, yeah, it's some kind of other. It's like feeling that I have a larger community around me.
Okay. Ooh, the word that's coming up is belonging.
Yeah, belonging. Yeah.
The sense of belonging.
Yeah, that tracks really well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that feels nice. That feels nice. And then when you live in a bigger city, that can go away.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more kind of defensiveness. There's kind of like unspoken agreement that I'm not going to talk to you when I pass you on the sidewalk.
Right.
Yeah. And even so much as like there might be an idea kind of permeating that like that other people and strangers are dangerous. Yeah. Like, and I kind of feel that.
Yeah. I feel that too. Like sometimes when you get the energy, like if you were to initiate conversation with somebody, you get the energy that you're like accosting them in some way.
Yes. Yeah. And that's an assumption. Like that's an assumption that I'm making. There's kind of subtle underlying assumptions about the safety of the neighborhood and like people's education levels and people's economic status, kind of what that means, right?
What's coming up for me is that one reason why we make assumptions is because we find safety in meaning, and we need things to mean something. We need it to make sense. And this is where assumptions even come in.
I'm trying that on. Do I find safety in meaning?
Or an illusion of safety?
The illusion of meaning. Yeah, that's interesting. What comes up for me when you say that is the assumption that we have the same meaning.
Yeah, that is strange that we have that assumption.
Yeah. Like, because we're agreeing and we're like interacting pleasantly, that we kind of, my sense is that we agree on potentially a lot more than we actually agree on.
Yeah.
And I know this is the case when I interact with other people, not necessarily you, but other people. And I, put on, my social mask sometimes. And then I have the assumption that this other person is their social mask and all that means. Yeah.
So the assumption here is that they also have their social masks on?
Well, that would be one assumption for sure. Yeah.
When I hear that, I'm like, is that even an assumption? Like, isn't that the case?
I mean, but it is an assumption, because maybe somebody doesn't, and maybe I don't at a particular time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
And if I don't, if I kind of drop my social mask, do I automatically have a tendency to assume that the other person is dropping theirs as well? And my sense is that I do that. Yeah. I know I do it with my marriage. Like all kinds of things. Like, if I do something, I just kind of assume that my wife is going to kind of reciprocate or see it and notice it. Like, notice that I've changed something. And it's like, whether that's like in a behavior or like, and how I'm interacting with her, or whether that's like something that I just did in the house. Like, I just assume that because I did it, she's gonna know.
This reminds me of, in one of my past relationships, I was, my partner pointed out, like, if you ever had a fight, my partner would point out all the assumptions I made. And I would look at it, I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I don't even know that I'm making them.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many, and it can cause such a rift.
Yeah.
It can lead to expectations, misunderstandings. And it's so unconscious.
There's an assumption that my wife frequently talks about, and I think it's a really cool and really interesting and powerful thing to be aware of. And it's the assumption that we make that when people do bad things, or bad things happen as a result of somebody's actions, right, or behavior, that as a kind of as a human being, right, and they've done research studies on this, that I have like we all have, like, as human beings, I have a high degree of likelihood of assuming that thing that person did was intentional. And not only that it was intentional, but that there was malicious intent behind it. Just try that on.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Isn't that fascinating? What happens for you when you think about that?
So when something bad happens to me, the assumption is that this other person meant it.
Yeah.
Like, they meant it. They meant to hurt me.
Yeah.
I feel like my first impulse is, man, that's not me. And then I'm like, no, I know better.
I love it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. And what comes up for me is if you don't think that you do that like in kind of your personal relationships, just zoom out like one layer, like the community. It's like if somebody in City Hall makes a decision to do something in the road and it negatively affects you or your community, neighborhood, there's a high likelihood that I know I hear it all the time, that we project that, oh yeah, that city council member, like they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They know that this is affecting everybody, mm-hmm. and they're still doing it, and they want to do this in order to have this negative effect. Like it's that malicious intent.
Yeah. Oh, there's like hidden agendas here.
Yeah, there's hidden agendas in everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if that doesn't, we definitely can see how we do this with the government. Like the larger federal government or the world, banking, World Economic Forum and all of that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. And like that's my jam. Like I can totally be like, this is like depopulation. That's what they're doing. Yeah. They switch the water off. Like, okay, we're gonna be like slaughtered in the next 20 years. I can see myself going there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, I hear it all the time. Most of my patients come in, have some type of relationship with this type of thinking. And we've talked about this before.
I think so.
Yeah. About how what would it be like to not assume malicious intent? Like, how does that change your view of what's happening in the world right now?
Oh, that's so interesting. Because I'm definitely one of those people who will hand the government malicious intent. Like I am one of those people. Like name the conspiracy theory, like I'm on it, right? I'm like even if I don't believe in it, I'm like there's something to look at here.
The top 1% is definitely trying to control us, and
and so
and they know what they're doing.
Yeah. So that part of me is like, do I want to try this on? Do I want to like try on that maybe they're not malicious? That part of me is resisting, but I do want to go here.
Okay.
If like the government was not malicious, if like the things were happening were, let's say, incompetence or just random.
Yeah. That's the greatest one, I think, is incompetence. Like we have this assumption that the people running things are like more intelligent than us. And the people running things are just on a track to run things. It's a job like any other job.
I have so much resistance to this that I can't even feel into it. That's where I'm at right now.
I love it, man. I love it.
I felt this conversation was easier for me as long as we're talking about like people and like personal assumptions. As soon as it went to the government, I'm like, oh.
You're like,
like those fuckers, like
they're trying to do this to me.
What does that bring up in you? I'm curious. When you think that this is just incompetence.
I mean, it brings up reality. It brings up our shared humanity. And that's not to say that I don't think that there's intentional things that are being done that are having negative consequences. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying the gestalt of what's happening is not being maliciously orchestrated. Like there's not 3 people in a room that are with a flow chart, like mapping out every single downstream effect of all of these. And that is actually what's so scary to me, is that we have no idea no one has any clue of what is happening.
That's scary to you.
Well, it's scary on one hand and absolutely comical on the other. It's like, yeah, we're burning the house down like while we're sleeping in it.
Right.
It's like, okay, we're playing with gasoline and matches, and like we don't have no idea what's around us, like
right.
what, I mean, we're both, university, have a university experience. Interdisciplinary thought is a relatively new thing, and it's pretty cutting edge still.
Yeah.
I mean, most people are in a silo of thought.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. To when I think about the individuals in government, my assumption based on my experience just interacting with the world is they're likely very, very similar to anybody else. Most people anyway in government. And they're just doing a job. And so, how would you like your neighbor to be in government, because they are like they're making decisions. Like that person is no different probably than some of the people working in government. They might be working in government.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm becoming very conscious of like the the people who believe in like the hidden hand. Oh, yeah. And like, and I consider myself very, very empathetic to this community. I can already see themselves, and this is my projection and my assumption, that they're gonna be like, yeah, dude, but you know what? The people in the government are shills. Like they were placed there. Like people in the government are not the ones who are controlling things. Yes, they're like, they're the ones appearing on camera. Yeah, and it seems like they're the ones making decisions, but like, who's really running them?
Totally.
Yeah.
But even that, when I think about that, do I think that people like Donald Trump, and that people in that kind of inner circle, do I think that they have this innate intelligence that allows them to see the interconnectedness of like all of these decisions that are being made? No way.
Yeah.
No way.
You got me at the intelligence part.
Yeah. These are people who have a really, just like most people, have a really narrow view of reality. I mean, it's not like they grew up in Calcutta and traveled all over the world and different economic situations to get this really great map of the world. That there's not that many people like that.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that even if these people exist, these people in the what do you call them, the deep state or whatever?
Yeah, the deep state, whatever.
In the shadow
side.
Yeah,
which I think is legitimate. Yeah, 100%.
Even these people like George Soros or whoever you want to name, they, even if they have the money, they have the power, they have the influence, and they can push agendas that are not suitable for the world population. Yeah, but they don't know how it's gonna come out.
No, totally,
because they can't control every
100%.
Yeah,
and they are. They of course they have agendas. We all have agendas. Like my agenda is to make money at a naturopathic clinic, and to have a house, and have this podcast. I mean, that's my agenda. Yeah. If I was a billionaire and I owned 20 companies and had the president on speed dial and all this kind of stuff, well, my agenda would definitely be different.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and I would use the resources available to me for pursuing that agenda. So yeah, absolutely. They're no different than any other person. How does that sit?
Oh, that's it well. And when you use the word agenda, it's taking me back to assumptions. I love it when I'm in the room and I know your agenda. It's like, I'm here like for this reason. This is what I want. And that makes me, I feel like I don't have to assume things about you because of that.
Because you know what the agenda is.
I know what you want out of a situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Yeah, and how often do I cover up my agenda, right? And pretend that I don't have one.
Yeah. It feels like very much in the same category. Not the same thing, but it feels like very much in the same category as assumptions.
Yeah.
Um, if I don't know your agenda, I am assuming your agenda.
Yeah.
Like I have some assumption about why you're here.
Yeah.
And what you want out of this interaction.
Mm-hmm.
It would be so nice if just people could just come out and be like, yeah, this is my agenda.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. When I try that on, I have resistance to it though. Like I want to hide.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Want to hide from what?
Like I don't feel safe to like come right out and like admit my agenda.
Ooh. And like this feeling of not being safe, what's it like? Is it like you're going to be judged for it? Or it won't be accepted?
What if it's the wrong agenda? Yeah. What if it causes problems?
Oh.
Or what if it's not agreed with?
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
That'll be like a very good reason to hide.
Yeah.
Like it would feel good to the ego to hide that agenda is what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to at this point ask you, is there another element to assumptions that you want to highlight? I don't know why I get this feeling that there's something else about assumptions that you want to say. And either this is an assumption on my part or it's intuition.
I was just thinking about all of the things that like we assume someone is like we assume somebody's not a serial killer. I assume that you're not a child molester. I assume that you're not cheating on your wife. I assume that you are not stealing money from other people. And I think that those like social, like they're like assumptions, and there's something about them that seems more like fundamental in terms of a social contract. Like I assume that we are operating under the same social contract to a certain degree.
And what does those assumptions do for you?
Well, I think that when I name them now, I feel comfortable in them. And then when I try on like when those assumptions turn out false, it causes a lot of problems in me. Like there's a lot of turmoil that I like feel inside of me when like those things turn out false. It's like, oh, I've been lied to. I've been, deceived.
Even though they were assumptions you made.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that there, some of those things are I think that we can all agree are, that you would be outraged if you found out somebody, was a serial killer or a child molester or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that there are other things that I make assumptions on. in terms of like someone's goodness or someone's willingness to, help, and kind of what that means, or their what manners mean.
Right.
Right. So those are also social contracts.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm assuming that you have the same sense of uh, ethics when it comes to, offering assistance, or, all those things.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's like that's the foundation of our social masks.
Right.
And so it's like those social masks that we're talking about are being born out of assumptions.
Ooh, social masks being born out of assumptions. I want to try that on. When I hear the word social mask, I'm thinking of like a role that I need to play.
Yeah.
And what role I need to play, what I'm hearing from you is decided by what I assume people want, or what I assume is like the right role for me, the most beneficial role for me. Is that what you mean by the assumptions are the foundation of the social mask?
Yes, to a certain degree. Yeah. Like, yeah. I think that's a lot of it.
And why does one need the social mask?
Well, I think that the mask is not needed, but being aware that our our identity and the way that we see reality is largely constructed by these social contracts is how we become more whole.
Right.
Right. And are actually able to drop the mask because we can acknowledge how these things are being shaped in our consciousness, being how they're part of how our ego develops.
So becoming aware of your assumptions and revealing your assumptions is leads to the dropping of the mask.
Yeah, I think that that's the sense that I get. I'm not going to say that it is or it's not, but it is. I think it is a component of it.
Yeah, I find myself agreeing to that for sure. And it brings me back to my question, that mask that was there, which is based on this foundation of assumptions. Like, what role was that mask doing, like playing in the first place? Like, why was it there before you became aware of it? Like, what was it? Why was it there?
I mean, the first thing that comes up for me is protection. But I think the deeper cut of that is inclusion and belonging.
Yeah.
Like, I wear my mask so that I can be a part of something.
Yeah, that hits me deep. Because when you say protection, I the image comes up of a protector, something that is sort of like antagonistic almost. But then when you say, oh, like the reason for the protection is inclusion, is belonging, that just softens me and evokes empathy. Evokes empathy for that mask.
Yeah.
And when you connect that to this fear that might arise, that, hey, if I reveal my assumptions, I'm going to drop my mask and I feel naked and helpless because that protection is gone. Like, that's a common fear, like we all have.
Absolutely.
So revealing your assumptions is actually, at least initially, might seem like a dangerous thing to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And what's coming up for me is that it's still the most honest thing to do. when we can, and at least being honest with ourselves about it. You know, revealing my assumptions might be inappropriate. Like, I can appreciate that there's many contexts which might not lend themselves to revealing my assumptions, and that doesn't mean I can't be aware of them and acknowledge in myself that I do have assumptions and they do shape how I interact with the world.
I'm right now curious about how open people are to acknowledging their assumptions based on your experience.
Not open. I think it's really hard. I think it's really hard for us. I think in a lot of ways, acknowledging and being aware of our assumptions is akin to an ego death, right? Or it pushes into it questions the ego scaffolding. It questions our certain senses of our identity.
Oh yeah, that tracks. Because like when I think about whenever I've not wanted to look at my assumption, I have this feeling of, oh, if I actually became aware that I have an assumption that is not, especially when it's not true, I can't trust myself. Like I just have no ground to stand on. I can't trust my own thinking, and that's been the resistance for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think I often, when we play the assumption game, like I try to make these or I try to see assumptions that I'm making that will be false. And I try to see them and really lean into them. I think that for me, it's helpful in seeing how inaccurate I can be in assessing other people.
I'm becoming aware of how different we are.
Exactly.
The assumptions are crumbling.
Yeah, the assumptions are crumbling.
Yeah.
So Brian often talks about, and I think he's paraphrased. He got this from somebody else in the relatefulness community, but he talks about how this relational practice, circling or relatefulness, it's all about seeing that I have a story about you, and I will never stop having a story about you, and you will never stop proving that story wrong. Or outgrowing it.
That's such a refreshing thought. It points to how many assumptions you can have, and how ever continual that process is, but it also points to how infinite the other person is. But they will never stop surprising you.
Never stop surprising you. Yeah. We get really like esoteric and say, until you join as one.
Yeah, until you merge with God.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then we'll be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.